Warm greetings. Hello, aloha, talofa to our global family. Welcome. I am Laura Sa Pelelafuia Ava, and on behalf of Unity and Diversity World Council, as well as One Global Family Foundation and Alliances, I greet you all and thank you for joining us here in this sacred virtual space, whether it's during February of 2022 or in the future. Welcome. On behalf of Peace Sundays, we are coming together once again for our Sacred Activism broadcast series to bring together inspiring interfaith leaders, Indigenous elders, sacred activists, and musicians so that we can all collaborate our efforts to make that one drop, that difference in the vast ocean of need, to carry on the work and legacy of Peace Sunday 1982. This June 2022 will be the 40th anniversary, and so we'll be sharing more information about that in today's broadcast. I am the chair and executive producer of the Peace Sunday Sacred Activism broadcast, and I'd like to welcome my producer for this particular program, Patrick Horn, as well as our co-producers and wonderful elders, Clan Mother Alda Glover and Chief Daniel Ramos, to introduce themselves.
My name is Patrick Horn. I'm a musician. I also serve as Dean of Academic Affairs for the Global Interfaith University, and I'm a fellow at the Institute for Digital Civic Culture at University of Southern California.
Greetings. I'm Alda Glover, and I am clan mother of the Choctaw Muskogee Yamasee people.
Ohani Washte, Kolas, and family. I am Daniel Ramos, also known and given name of Cuautlialt. I'm also a board member of the Center of Universal Light, also for the Wild for Life Foundation, and certified group facilitator for White Bison, Mending the Broken Heart, and the Circle of Life Medicine Wheel 12-step programs. Aho, mutakiasin.
Thank you. Aho, aloha, alofa. Thank you. This is my wonderful broadcasting team, and there are others that you will be able to meet in the future as well. And at this time, as we begin every Peace Sunday gathering, whether it's in person or in this virtual space, we have our Indigenous elders from all different parts of the world to open us up in this sacred circle. And today we are going to be sharing the Indigenous blessing and the Hummingbird Intertribal Women's Drum here upon Turtle Island, North America. They were featured in our 2020 Peace Sunday webimentary, We Carry the Dream.
All of you to join us in opening our hearts and exploring our own hearts in bringing ourselves to peace, planetary peace and harmony with Mother Earth and all of creation.
May the sacred feminine speak and be heard. It is in the time of the White Buffalo prophecy now that the healing of our world will come through the womb of sacred women, all the sacred feminines. All, we must stand together as the male energy and the female together. May this peace of the male and the female of the one love come together in a good way, in a good road, and bring peace in our earth with all elders, with all children, and all the many creations around us today that live and breathe. We send our blessings to our global family.
Greetings. I'm delighted to join you all for this Peace Sunday. It is an honor for me to join all of the community leaders, faith leaders, and Indigenous elders at this amazing event.
Thank you, elders, for that beautiful prayer and opening blessing. Our theme for today is World Interfaith Harmony, Past, Present, and Future. And we have three guests to talk about this topic. World Interfaith Harmony Week is based on a United Nations General Assembly resolution for a worldwide week of interfaith harmony proposed in 2010 by His Majesty King Abdullah II and His Royal Highness Prince Ghazi bin Muhammad of Jordan. All around the world, organizations and individuals host events during the first week of February to help neighbors of different faiths get to know each other and build a foundation for a more peaceful and friendly planetary society. World Interfaith Harmony Week encourages grassroots events that link people together in a global wave of understanding, respect, and action. 1 week in a year, the first week of February, all interfaith groups and other groups of goodwill can show the world their international movement. The thousands of events organized by these groups often go unnoticed, not only by the general public, but also by other groups themselves. This week allows for these groups to become aware of each other and strengthen the movement by building ties and growing a new alliance of virtue, a global coalition for conflict resolution, peace building, unity, and environmental stewardship. Today, we will hear from Bishop Swing from the United Religions Initiative and Reverend Stephen Avino from the Parliament of World's Religions. But first, I'd like to introduce you to our Peace Sunday executive producer and co-host, Laura Sa Pele Lafoia Ava. She is the president and board chair for Unity and Diversity World Council, as well as One Global Family Foundation and Alliances, which establishes and sustains a local to global cooperating body of individuals and humanitarian groups and networks for the pursuit of peace, justice, and an environmentally sustainable world based on universal ethical and spiritual values. Laura Sa, would you, for those who don't know, would you talk about how you came into the interfaith movement?
Thank you, Patrick. And thank you, elders, also for the beautiful opening blessing. Wow. My journey into the interfaith movement began on the day of 9/11/2001. Prior to that, I was a corporate executive managing operational divisions and production branches for multi-million-dollar funding firms, and climbing the corporate ladder as a mother and a wife. And when the 9/11 terrorist attacks occurred, it was devastating. I can honestly say that that was my spiritual awakening into what my true purpose here on earth is for in this lifetime. The impact that the terrorist attacks had on my children, especially my 11-year-old daughter, Brittany. It was, a time when she was going through and suffering post-traumatic stress. From 9/11 until about January 11, 4 months later, as I was taking her to the hospital because she was breaking down. She wasn't able to sleep or eat, and her grades were falling. And her greatest concern was she wasn't yet baptized, and what would happen to her and us if we were to die, in another terrorist attack. Would she still be with us in the life hereafter? And then her other concern was, she wanted to be baptized right away and be sealed to us for time and all eternity. We are of the Mormon faith, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and she was not yet sealed to us, my husband and I. And so On January 11th, that Christmas was the first time she didn't ask for a baby brother or turtles. She just wanted to be baptized and sealed to her family. And so we were driving down on January 11th, 2002, and I just remember it so clearly because it was so impactful for me. It was after the holiday season, and along the pathway, Garden Grove Boulevard, um, all of these flags were aligning the street, and my daughter was sitting there. She was in a lot of pain. On the way to the hospital, um, she said nothing. We were just driving in silence, and she said quickly and pointed to something along the road, and she said, "Mom, that is what I want." And and I said to her, "What is it?" "Whatever it is, I'm going to get it for you." She was in such pain, and she says, "That's it, right there." And I looked up and I saw these flags, decorative flags from the holidays. And one said light, one said joy, the other said love. And the one that she was pointing to was peace. And she goes, "All I want is peace." I said, "Peace from the pain that you're going through physically?" And she goes, "I want peace for all the children and families in the world. No more war, no more destruction. I just want peace." And as a mother looking down upon her, I couldn't be more proud. And at that moment, fighting back tears, I remember praying to God as I'm driving, and I'm saying, "Oh God, please hear me. I want nothing more than to bring about peace in the world, not just for my daughter, but for all of your children. Send me as a mother, because I know that retaliation will come soon, that there will be more wars and more killings and more lives lost. Send me as a mother to wherever the terrorists are, so I can share my spirit of aloha and alofa, unconditional agape love, and remind everyone that we are brothers and sisters. We come from one creator. You are love, and we will return to love, hopefully as one global united family." And I said, "So send me. And wherever I need to go, make the way possible. Whomever I need to speak to, put them on my path. Whatever words you want to have spoken to bring about peace and unity, allow them to come through my mouth, guided by your Holy Spirit. The time is now for us to come together stronger and better, not just for the lives that are living and breathing at this moment, but especially for our future generations and for our Mother Earth." And so I said that prayer, and be careful what you ask for, because it may just come true. And within the next 4 years, as I waited and prayed every day to send me, I kept moving up the corporate ladder and had these positions that were very lucrative, and but my heart wasn't there, and I was just waiting to be sent to wherever God wanted me to go. And finally, the first place that I had chosen to go, thinking that I didn't want to wait anymore for God to send me, now I'm just going to take action into my own hands. And I would take my 15-year-old daughter, Brittany, to India, to the Gandhi ashram in Ahmedabad with a group of other volunteers, about 16 of us. Brittany was the youngest at 15, and we served the poorest of the poor. So I told myself that while I'm waiting on God to send me to wherever the terrorists are, I'm going to go and just serve the poorest and neglected souls that needed to be uplifted in one way or another. And while I was there at the Gandhi ashram, the one in Ahmedabad is where Gandhi lived in his later years, uh, where he did the spinning of the cotton, and where it's also where he led the Salt March from. And that Salt March is what galvanized many movements into his Satyagraha movement, especially a very nonviolent soul movement of truth. that helped India to eventually gain its independence. And it's also, he had vowed that he would not return to his beloved home, this particular ashram in Ahmedabad, until India was free. I learned so much about Gandhi and Mother Teresa, and also learned that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had also gone there with some of his followers to learn about Gandhi's Satyagraha movement, and then returned to the United States and disseminated that information. About 6 months later, they led the civil rights movement. So this is a very auspicious and sacred place. Seeing the deep poverty there, it really just opened up my eyes and my heart to humanitarian work, peace building, interfaith peace building, especially because in that area of Ahmedabad, it's also where just a few years prior, in 2002, that riots had broken out between Muslims and Hindus, and hundreds were killed. And so I knew that it was a sacred place that God had sent me to. I returned a year later on my own to help bring in a container of over 500 free wheelchairs for the disabled poor, to check out and sponsor preschool nutrition centers in various slum communities, and also do other work, women's empowerment work, serving the leprosy community, blind children, and women that were rag pickers. They go through the trash, and many of them were elderly women. And so everything to do with empowering families and mothers and children and the community, to uplift the community. That's what I got to learn firsthand there. But here in the United States, before going to India, and even now, it's been about 20 years, we wanted to do something locally to bring together people of different faiths, different cultures, or no faith at all, that are very much embracing of honoring Mother Earth, the environment, young and old. In our local community here in Orange County in Santa Ana, in the Civic Center, there were a couple hundred homeless individuals right outside the near the police station, the courthouse. And so I began to engage in interfaith peace building by joining some of the local humanitarian organizations, but also two specific organizations. And one was the Parliament of the World's Religions, Southern California Committee. I went to an event in 2009 held at the Soka Gaggai International Peace Center. And that's where I met with many leaders in the interfaith movement of Southern California, as well as others from around the world. And it was just an amazing, powerful event. And I had prayed to be involved with the Parliament of the World's Religion. And here I was in Southern California. There was a local chapter. And so once I got to meet them, they pursued me to come and join the board, which I did since 2009. And I was blessed to serve as vice chair for 3 years. And I am still part of the organization on the advisory council board. Another organization that really touched my heart with all of the amazing work that they were doing on a global level was the United Religions Initiative. And many of the organizations that were, humanitarian or interfaith organizations were cooperation circles of the URI, United Religions Initiative. So I got to join and be a part of, whether it's a member or a board member or advisory council board, all of these amazing organizations, probably about 20 of them, including the LA Sheriff's Department and the Orange County Sheriff's Department's interfaith councils. And so all of these wonderful individuals that I was now collaborating with helped me to propel and also bring forth the work of One Global Family Foundation and Alliances, which was birthed from the 9/11 terrorist attack. And then also about 6 years ago, we began the International Councils and Congress of Women and Youth, helping to bring together women leaders from around the world to help us, counter all of the different issues that were happening. And so we began feeding the homeless, bringing together people of different faiths, from schools, different restaurants to support our efforts. And it was like a hometown buffet every Sunday in our civic center. And it grew from maybe 150 people to over 600 people. And a few years later, there was just so many people that we finally came together again as leaders to work together with our city and our county leaders to open up a temporary homeless shelter in the dormant bus station. And so now in 2022, other bigger homeless shelters have opened up to transition them from that temporary shelter into better facilities. And so that's how it began. And so I went back to India, and the second time that I was there, my plan was to only serve there for a month and then go on to Kenya, Nairobi, to serve in the largest slum community, especially focusing on orphan children and those impacted by AIDS. On the day that I was going to the airport, I distinctly heard the Creator say, "You're not going to Africa." Heard it 2 times, "You're not going to Africa." And immediately I said, okay, I'm not going to Africa. I waited and prayed and meditated at the Gandhi ashram for 5 days. And on the 5th night, I was actually so disappointed with God that not only have I been waiting now for 5 years to be sent to wherever the terrorists are, but, I've been waiting 5 days and I should have been in Africa, serving and loving upon all these children. But here I am still waiting. And that night I heard, "You're going to Pakistan." And I said, "What? You're going to Pakistan?" And I said, "I don't even know anything about Pakistan. Pakistan is not even on my radar." And my other 2 co-founders of a partner organization in the Gandhi ashram, one of them said, "Oh no, Laura, you don't go Pakistan. It's not safe for you. Stay right here. You're doing so much good work here with the children and the elders." And then I thought to myself, yeah, you're right. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, you're right. I don't need to go anywhere. I just need to stay right here and just continue to wait. And then it wasn't until the other co-founder in the back seat said, trying to put the fear in me, "Sister, do not go to Pakistan. Don't you know that's where they train all the Al-Qaeda terrorists? And there's been bombings going on there for over a week. You will not be able to get in. Others have tried, but they're not getting even an interview for a visa to get into Pakistan. And furthermore, you're a Christian woman traveling alone in a Muslim country. That's not acceptable. And because of all the terrorism and the anti-American sentiments, surely you will not get in." And as soon as he had said that that's where they train all the Al-Qaeda terrorists, in my mind, I was saying, finally, I'm going, I'm being sent. And all I could do was say, okay, Lord, take a deep breath and just let them know, okay, my brothers, I will pray about it, but I know that if this is God's will, a way has already been made for me to go there and get in. And the next day, I flew to Delhi to get to apply for my visa. And within an hour and 15 minutes of having chai tea with the first secretary of the Pakistani High Consulate Office, I was blessed to receive my visa. And I entered into Pakistan through Lahore and then was able to go to many cities, especially Islamabad, where most of the terrorist bombs were happening. A few years later, actually a year later, I went there with my daughter Brittany. We stayed with my 5 host families, and we were able to speak at the same schools, colleges, and orphanages where I had spoken the very first time I was there. We also brought in a container of 500 wheelchairs and were able to distribute them and open an orphanage for girls, and was able to go to an earthquake-torn area at the border of Afghanistan and Pakistan. And my humanitarian partner, Al Khidmat Foundation, refused to take me with them to the Afghan border because they said it was about 90% Al Qaeda. And I said, okay, I'm going there with you. And they said, no, sister, we'll bring back the photos and videos and you can see them, but it's too dangerous for you and it would be dangerous for us as well. I said, my brothers, um, if you take me with you, that would be great. But if you don't take me with you, I'll see there. I'll see you all there. You don't need to bring me back photos and videos because I will reach out to Helping Hand, who's the other partner organization near Islamabad that took me up to the Taliban infested mountains of Kashmir. And so I'll see you there. About 30 minutes later, they called me back and said, Sister Laura, our plane has been delayed for 3 hours, and we've realized that we need to purchase your ticket. So we've purchased your round trip ticket to come with us, and we'll be there in 30 minutes to pick you up. And I said, Masha Allah, God's blessing. And it was amazing, amazing to just share love, aloha, and light everywhere I went. I was just well embraced. Everybody thought I was Pakistani or Afghanistani or Indian, so I blended in beautifully. But everyone respected me as a Christian and as a woman, a mother from the Pacific Islands. And a few years later, everywhere I went, especially near Islamabad, that is where Osama bin Laden was discovered and killed. And so God knows everything from beginning to end and every detail in between. We are just servants, instruments for the Creator to bring about peace and unity and harmony in this world. So that's how I started.
Thank you, Laura. That was
Oh my God, my heart.
that was emotionally profound. And I think there's a beautiful connection between us because that first event at SGI for the Parliament was also the first event that I went to for Interfaith. And in fact, I had a dream about it 3 months before I walked in person and saw the sacred circle of people praying together.
You and I were both there, and we didn't even know it until now that we, our paths have crossed. And so, but we both all have been called, and that's so amazing. As we share our stories, we see all the interconnections, right?
Now that we have a glimpse of how you came into the interfaith movement, what's happening now and what can we expect in the future, especially related to the work of the Unity and Diversity World Council, our United Religions Initiative Cooperation Circle, in this anniversary of Peace Sunday?
Thank you, Patrick. Whew, that sharing of that story of how I began, it was, very emotional, but I love the fact that it's helped me to, again, with clarity, see the vision and mission of my life's purpose. And I know that you, Patrick, we were together at the 2009 Parliament event in Los Angeles, in city of Santa Monica at the SGI Peace Center, and we didn't even know each other at that time. In our recent stories that we've been able to share, we've been able to pinpoint that, oh my gosh, our paths have crossed. And just as our dear elders, Daniel and Alda, the work that we're doing, we're all interconnected, interrelated, interdependent, and we've all been called spiritually to do this sacred work, the sacred song and dance that we do with all of our hearts, all of our might, mind, and strength, to honor our Creator, to honor all life in this beautiful web of life, honor all our relations in all creation. So the work that we do with Unity and Diversity World Council and other cooperation circles, One Global Family Foundation and alliances, is just that. We organize conferences, peace festivals, events online, such as these sacred activism broadcasts, humanitarian efforts. We collaborate with on-the-ground partners, especially with One Global Family Alliances. Many of the places that God has blessed me to go to help build peace and unity through humanitarian collaborative impact projects. Everything has been for a divine purpose. With the 40th anniversary of Peace Sunday coming up this June, and it will be a full 1 day. We will begin in New Zealand with an Indigenous elder opening us up in a sacred blessing, and other Indigenous elders, interfaith leaders, sacred activists, musicians coming together. Because it's on June 6th, Monday in New Zealand, but here it's Sunday, June 5th. We've now focused on making it a 24-hour, one impactful day, and we'll weave together like a perfect peace tapestry programs that will be submitted ahead of time from around the world, our different collaborative partners, especially in the interfaith arena. So URI, the Global Parliament of the World's Religions, many other organizations will submit their 55-minute program, then we'll weave it all together, leaving open about a 3-hour program at the very heart to share videos from the first Peace Sunday, and also invite back some of the major musicians, if they're still alive and with us. We'll invite them to come and share their stories, their music. Some of the impactful leaders back then, Muhammad Ali, Reverend James Lawson. Patrick, you know of the musicians that perform there. And we're talking Stevie Wonder, Stevie Nicks, Linda Ronstadt. So we'll be reaching out to them and also other inspiring musicians and leaders right now in this current time. And we want to also include and really propel the youth, the millennials, to come forth and participate, because they're the leaders of today and tomorrow. And so it will be live streamed through all the social media platforms as well as Zoom. And so we will be inviting many to come and help us put this together. And the theme right now that's coming through is the power of one, the power of one dream, one song, one heart, one world, one love, one family. It's in the oneness, this ocean of oneness, that we will be able to help bring about more peace and unity in the world, and also focus on the issues that are plaguing our world. We need nuclear disarmament. We need to focus on our Mother Earth. Climate change is a huge issue. Being better stewards of the lands that we are stewards of, the environmental elementals, water, earth, air, and honoring their sacred fire within and all around. The pandemic has been devastating. And so we need to focus on all of these things, and many organizations have their passion, their focus, and so we're going to be, again, weaving them all together in this sacred peace tapestry around the world to blanket our earth with love and light and unity.
Thank you, Larissa. It is an honor and a joy to work with you on these webcasts, and I know that your story has touched everybody's hearts, and I thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, elders. I know you're holding us in sacred prayer right now for this sharing time. And I would like to now intro in our video that we, along with other producers for our webimentary in 2020, We Carry the Dream. This video will share with you 6 powerful minutes of what Peace Sunday offered to the world back in 1982. And so here it is. Thank you.
In 1982, during the height of the Cold War, as the Soviet Union and the United States engaged in the nuclear arms race and fears of nuclear holocaust plagued the planet, a mass movement for a nuclear freeze arose. In California, the culmination of the movement took place on June 6, 1982, at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. The event was called Peace Sunday. Performers included Stevie Wonder, Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, Stevie Nicks, Jackson Brown, Linda Ronstadt. Speakers included Muhammad Ali, Jesse Jackson, Jane Fonda, Dolores Huerta, Rabbi Leonard Bierman, the Reverend James Lawson. Peace Sunday combined humanitarian and planetary concerns with music and message, setting the stage for future global link-ups such as Live Aid and other mega concerts, raising funds for disaster relief and various causes. Peace Sunday was produced by the Year of Shalom Committee, a coalition of peace and justice and interfaith groups. In subsequent years, the Unity and Diversity Council, a Los Angeles interfaith group, has picked up where the Year of Shalom left off and has produced annual Peace Sunday events at various locations throughout the Los Angeles area. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Peace Sunday. So glad that you're here. This is the time to be here. This is the time to proclaim who we are. This is the time to stand up for peace.
In the aftermath of 9/11, as America marched towards war with Iraq, Peace Sunday courageously featured Muslim American leader, peace activist, and co-founder of the Muslim Public Affairs Council, Dr. Meher Hattout, and Congresswoman Barbara Lee, the only member of Congress to have voted against the Iraq War.
We really need a peace revolution. Peace is divine, like justice.
Peace is not just the absence of tension, but it is the presence of justice. Presence of justice, peace and justice go together.
This culture of war, led by the military-industrial complex, catering to the lowest denominator in people, only serving the few on the expense of the many, and just hypnotizing the nation on the drums of war to march is not what the citizens of a democracy should allow to happen.
So, my brothers and sisters, let us take with us the spirit and the ideals and the hope of Peace Sunday displayed today and live each and every day as if it were Peace Sunday, so that the future is created based upon what we stand for today.
Nobody will do that but you, but us. All together, one nation, under God. May God bless you.
May peace prevail on earth.
Oh my goodness. Larissa, Sister and you, I've known you for years and have in the most amazing ways knew that you just did all these amazing, beautiful things around Mother Earth. But to hear the details of the obstacles that you had to overcome, or that you, in your faith, in your true faith walk, put your trust into Creator's hands and had that power open the door for a profound story to be so told. And it falls right in line with White Buffalo prophecy. In Loveland, Colorado in 1991, a group of elders came together and spoke, and they said that this time, the deepening of the mending of the sacred hoop will occur, and one of those signs would be when our women begin to step out into the leadership roles to walk in their peace, to bring their balance and their love. And you have demonstrated one of many women around our world who are taking that step and have already been in places. It is time to acknowledge and recognize the power of that you bring in that story and connect all women's walks in this way. Oh,
And it's not just the faith, it's the actions that you took because of your faith. It was a trust that you had that you would be protected because you were doing what God wanted you to do. You were living your purpose. Peace Sundays is inspirational, but we have to take that inspiration and transfer it into action. To continue to pray, to bring others in, but to keep it going, because it's prayer is so powerful, but it's the action that the prayers support that changes the world.
And look at the actions taken by all of the participants in Peace Sunday 1982, how powerful that was in stopping the war that was going to be happening between America and Iran, putting in that nuclear freeze. And so every action has a reaction and ripple effect. And so I love that Peace Sunday video we just watched. And Patrick?
Thank you to the elders. Thank you, Laura Saw. Up next, we have interviews with Bishop Swing and Reverend Stephen Avino that I recorded a few days ago for our Sacred Activism broadcast. We will begin with a clip from the PBS Visionary series, The Power of Story. Our guest is the Right Reverend William E. Swing. He is the former Episcopal Bishop of California and founder president emeritus of the United Religions Initiative, a grassroots interfaith network that envisions a just and peaceful world through local and global engagement. We unite to heal and protect the earth. We unite to build safe places for conflict resolution, healing, and reconciliation. Bishop Swing is also an inspirational speaker and author of several books, including The Sacred and the Silly, which is my favorite. Welcome to Peace Sundays, Bishop Swing.
Oh, wonderful to be here. Thank you so much, Patrick.
Thank you for joining us today. For those who don't know, tell us about how an Anglican priest becomes inspired to bridge building between the religions of the world and how that started out.
Yeah, when you say Anglican priest, yeah, I started in the hills of West Virginia. I wanted to be the vicar of a little church in Moorfield by the South Branch of Potomac. I thought that was beautiful. So I got sent to a steel town, and I went to another steel town, and I went to a pottery town. I started a church and a racetrack for the jockeys and hot walkers and trainers. I went to Washington, D.C., and I was a parish priest. And then at age 42, I was elected to be the Bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of California, Grace Cathedral, Bay Area. And one day I got a telephone call from the United Nations. And they said, we're going to have the 50th anniversary of the United Nations. And since the United Nations Charter was written in San Francisco and signed in San Francisco, we'd like to come back to San Francisco for the 50th anniversary. And we'd like to come to your cathedral. And would you host us? And I said, I'd be glad to. Be an honor. And then they said, well, what we had in mind was we're going to have 185 ambassadors of all the nations of the world. And we have a vision of all the nations of the world and all the religions of the world being present at the same time to celebrate this 50th anniversary. I said, that's a great idea. And then they said, we'll bring all the nations, and we'd like you to bring all the religions. I said, oh my goodness. Sure, I'll make a few phone calls this afternoon. And they said, well, you have two years to do it. So we got to work on it. And I was invincibly ignorant of interfaith things or religions. When you run in a diocese and you got 87 churches, and you got 35,000 people, and you're housing 1,500 homeless every night, and you're starting a bank for the people who get redlined, and you're having immigration housing, and you got homes for developmentally disabled, and et cetera, and 400 priests and all that. You don't have time or the luxury of doing interfaith work. And so I didn't know Buddhists and Hindus and Muslim, and let alone how do you get all those people to come to a service at Grace Cathedral, and who do you invite and who don't you invite, and how many enemies do you make by singling out some? So it was all just a big jumble in my brain. And so I went to bed that night in 1993, and I began to think about it. And I thought, well, now the nations of the world have gathered every day for 50 years to struggle together for global good. And in the same 50 years, the nations of the world have not spoken to each other together once, not for 1 minute. And I thought, who's more moral in terms of having a vocation for the world? Religions or nations? And I thought, nations, as bad as they are better than the religions. At least they get together. And then I remembered Hans Kung saying, there's never going to be peace among nations unless there's peace among religions. And there's never going to be peace among religions until fill in the blank. So I filled in the blank. I said, well, there's got to be a united religions. And as stupid as it sounds, I just committed the rest of my life to God to be an agent for the creation of united religions, whatever that would look like. And I was ill prepared for it. I was ignorant about other faiths and didn't have any money and had no idea about the organizational design and purpose, and I didn't even know where to start. But I committed the rest of my life to being a catalyst, and I would just go wherever the Spirit shoved me. And so I ran around the world, and I thought, well, to have a united religions, you need to have all the religious leaders of the world. So I went around the world. And I talked to the Pope, and I talked to the Dalai Lama and Mother Teresa, and the Archbishop of Canterbury, and the chief rabbis, and the Shankaracharya, Kanchipuram, and Grand Muftis, and on and on and on and on. And I asked them one question, and the question was, are you ready to deputize somebody from your tradition to meet with deputies from other traditions to meet together to pursue peace among religions? And they said, absolutely not. We're not going to do that. And so, I kind of thought, well, maybe I could get the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu. I know them. Maybe I could get them to head up a committee to start this thing, and they weren't going to do that. And so I thought, well, either I give up right now, or I just change direction. So I decided it would have been easy to give up, believe me. I had a lot of responsibilities waiting for me at home, and I didn't know what I was doing. But I thought, this will happen, but it's not going to happen with the people at the top of religions. It's going to happen with the people at the grassroots. So let's get started. And I invited 56 people to the Fairmont Hotel on June 26, 1996. And we said, okay, let's go for it. Let's make it grassroots. Let's have men and women, make sure there's equal. And let's make sure that it's not only people of religion, but it's people of indigenous traditions, and it's people from spiritual movements, humanitarian endeavors. If you're going to open the door, just open the door wide open. So I stupidly said, I'm going out and get $1 million line of credit. and I'm going to hire 4 people, and we're going to start doing interfaith conferences around the world, and we're going to meet a lot of great people, and we're going to bring them together, and we're going to create this thing called the United Religions Initiative, not the United Religions. So I went to a bank and I got a loan for $1 million just on my name. I didn't have any collateral to back it up. If you ever wonder why banks get in trouble, that's if they would loan money to me like that, they deserve to have their heads examined. But we did it. We set up an office and hired 4 people, and those 4 people went around the world, and they were great. And this was 1996 and 97. We invited a lot of people to Stanford, and they were great. And 98, a lot of people. In 99, a lot of people. In the year 2000, we signed the charter. So, and then we were off and running. But I could talk a lot about gaps in what I'm saying now, but I don't know about how much time we got here.
That's a great look back. So, despite these challenges in starting the United Religions Initiative, it has grown to over 1,000 cooperation circles in 110 or more countries. Where is the United Religions Initiative at now, and what kinds of work is it doing around the world? How does it do this work around the world?
Yeah, and it's not like people at headquarters send out a memorandum and say, you guys got to do blank blank. What we do is sit at headquarters and say, these are the values that we know work and that we're going to live by, and you go out and figure out in your community what needs to happen. You need to take care of children on the street. You need to have a blood bank. You need to do something about agriculture, and you need to do something about the hostilities among religions. Whatever it is, you go out and do it and come back and tell us, and we will create a network. And we'll find people who are doing your kind of work in other parts of the world, and you can get together with them, and you can have cross-fertilization of ideas. And so it worked. We're a network. We're not a corporation. We got started like this because when we got the people from all the different religions together, we said, these people, all these people are nice people, but they can't write a charter, and they don't know anything about an organizational design. So how do we do that? So I hired the guy who invented the Visa card, that little card in your pocket. His name is D. Hawk. And I went to him and said, look, D, what you did with banking, could I do with religion? And he said, yeah, but you got to sit in a room with me for years. Okay. So we did. We sat in a room for a couple of years with him. Every 6 weeks, we put 3 days of our life, morning, noon, and night. And you could write a charter in a weekend, just use the word love and cooperation and justice, and it'd be pretty lightweight document. But if it's going to have substance to it, if those words are going to mean something, they got to be in context of a thought pattern that's deep and has roots to it. So it took us years to write the charter, and we won. And I said to Dee, we got to, and he said to me too, this has got to be like a biomimicry. This is not like an industrial revolution where everything comes down from the top. This has got to be at the grassroots level where nature grows it every day, so that swing, you can go to bed at night and the next morning the thing grew. and you didn't do a thing but sleep. And that's because all over the world, it's growing itself into a network, an environmental network kind of thing, a biological network. So the way that DHOC told us to build this thing, we did it, and he was exactly right.
And in the work of the United Religions Initiative happens through cooperation circles, which are locally based interfaith groups, and they work in different areas: environmental stewardship, human rights, and there has to be a certain number of people and a certain number of religions present. Isn't that correct? For a cooperation circle?
Yeah, we sat around the table and began to debate that. We said, well, the smallest union could be 7 people. And it's got to have 3 different traditions. It might have one Native American tribe. It might have one humanistic group. It might have Roman Catholic people. And so as long as it's 3, it could be Hindu, Baha'i, Jewish, it could be Iroquois tribe and some other tribe in Eastern India or whatever, but it's got to be, you got to have diversity. And so it's got to have diversity and at least 7 people, and then you start out. And some of our cooperation circles have 7 members and some have 100,000 members.
So the network has grown tremendously, and there is measurable impacts that these cooperation circles are making. What do you see as the future of world interfaith harmony and the role that the United Religions Initiative plays in that?
The world that's unfolding is going to be an interfaith world. In the past, you know, the Anglicans were over here and the Baptists were over here and the Muslim were over here, but the problems are not Baptist problems or Roman Catholic problems or Hindu problems. They're community problems, they're civil problems. And so the solutions are not going to be found in religions being in silos, trying to do it all themselves. There's some things that only can be done by bringing people together to solve the problems. For instance, I got a phone call from Dianne Feinstein when she was the mayor of San Francisco in 1981. She said, we're having a little problem with homelessness this winter. It'll go away in the spring. We'll never have any problems on homelessness again. But could you house some homeless at Grace Cathedral for the winter? And I said, sure, let's do it. So the first night we had 50 people, and the second night we had 180 people, and the third night we had 250 people. And oh my goodness, this got much too big for the Episcopal Church or Grace Cathedral. If we're going to deal with the homelessness, you got to get Baptists and the mayor and the Muslim and the Black community and you got to get everybody together. So the problems of the world are not religious problems. They're civic problems. They're community problems. They're national problems, regional problems. And therefore, if religion is either going to stay in their own cocoon and their own little bailiwick and say, we want the world to come to us and we'll come to the world, and that's good, because I do that. I've done that. I'm part of it. But if a big problem requires a big solution, bigger than who you are, and therefore, if you really care about getting on with to deal with the real issues, we got to have coalitions. When 9/11 happened, every mayor in every city, I'm exaggerating, every mayor in every city in the United States called on all the religious leaders to come together on the platform around the mayor. It's the first time in a lot of places that the religions ever met each other. was when the mayor called them together, because the mayor needed security at a time of enormous insecurity and a time of great divisiveness, show unity. Well, I think mayors kind of demanded, well, the world demands now. It's not 9/11, it's 2020, and the world's demanding us to get together to help the communities.
So in this tremendous possibility of moral leadership and spiritual encouragement, the cooperation circles and the coalitions of united religions can have big impacts. We're celebrating the 40th anniversary of the Peace Sunday concert for nuclear disarmament this year. And one of your pet projects has been the disarmament of these weapon systems of mass destruction. Can you talk to us about your work with the Voices for a World Free of Nuclear Weapons?
Yeah, thank you for that question. About 10 years ago, I got some friends together. George Shultz, who was former Secretary of State, and Bill Perry, who was Secretary of Defense, and Sidney Drell, who was a famous physicist, and Jonathan Granoff, and Ambassador Thomas Graham, and Jim Goodby. And I said, could we come together and form a little group called Voices for a World Free of Nuclear Weapons? And could we meet every month? So we have met every month for 10 years to see how we could be opportunistic. And our numbers have grown, and our impact has grown, and our reach has grown. Last year, for instance, we produced several videos for little children to educate them on nuclear weapons, for middle-aged children, and for adults, crash course. We produced videos. We've spoken at the United Nations. We've spoken all over the world. One of the interesting things is that we always say the same prayer. Every time we meet, we start out with our nuclear prayer, and we decided, well, let's make a video of us saying our nuclear prayer, and that nuclear prayer, that video, gone all over the world. It's had a life of its own, so it's been very interesting. I was working on nuclear weapons this morning, and trying to figure out what to do with August the 6th and August the 8th. There's 75 hours between the first bomb and the second bomb, and they created a nuclear weapons world. And how do you take those 75 hours and reduce it and try to get back to a world free of nuclear weapons? So I applaud what you all did 40 years ago at the Rose Bowl. My goodness, you're ahead of your day, and you worked on the freeze, you worked on nuclear disarmament, and you stirred. There was a lot of kindling around, and you lit a fire, and you got it blazing. Unfortunately, as the years gone by, the fire has diminished, and the industrial military complex is just getting more and more money, and the more and more nations have bombs, and we're living in the most dangerous time, except 1961 with the Cuban Missile Crisis. We're right there at the same, but folks out in the world don't understand the degree of vulnerability that we're in right now. The weapons are getting bigger, they're getting stronger. They have so we got to revive the spirit that you guys created down there, and we feel akin to you and grateful to you.
Certainly these days, with people being concerned about climate change, environmental stewardship, it seems to me that planting, if the goal is to plant 1 trillion trees, that protecting those trees, including protecting them from nuclear winter, goes hand in hand. And so environmental stewardship means we have to disable these weapon systems.
Yeah, exactly right. If we get into a nuclear war with Pakistan and India, that could create a atmospheric situation that could bring a temperature change on the earth, and so it ends up being environmental. Nuclear weapons are environmental, so those are the two big threats to the world: the environmental threat and the nuclear threat. And one is over a period of time, and one is instantaneous. It only takes a matter of so many minutes for a nuclear war to begin, and the world to end. So, anybody who doesn't understand that there are two great threats to the human species, we got to get the word out, and we got to change things, change the environment, and change the nuclear posture.
We are certainly doing that through the United Religions Initiative Network and through these Peace Sunday webcasts. For people who want to know more about the United Religions Initiative, you can visit their website at uri.org. Thank you, Bishop Swing, for joining us today on Peace Sundays.
Patrick, my great pleasure, and good luck to you. We need you.
Thank you very much.
Each month, I have the great privilege of hosting a small group of diplomats, scientists, lawyers, religious leaders, and all of them are deeply involved in international nuclear weapons negotiations. I'd like you to hear the prayer that we say whenever we get together.
The beginning and the end are in your hands, O Creator of the universe.
And in our hands you have placed the fate of this planet.
We who are tested by having both creative and destructive power in our free will,
turn to you in sober fear and in intoxicating hope.
We ask for your guidance, and we wish to share in your imagination as we deliberate about nuclear force.
Help us to lift the fog of atomic darkness
that hovers so pervasively over our Earth, your Earth,
so that soon all eyes may see life magnified by your pure light.
Bless all of us who wait today for your presence
and who dedicate ourselves to achieve
your intended peace and rightful equilibrium on earth.
In the name of all that is holy and all that is hoped. Amen.
Amen.
Religion is a way to relate to what is fundamentally a mystery. In a lot of ways, that great mystery is the great equalizer. No matter who we are, how much money we have, how famous we may be, in the end, we're all still ultimately face to face with the unknown.
See, the core of religion is that everything is created from one. It's the same light in everybody. Everybody has good, everybody has bad. There's no such thing as good only. There's no such thing as bad only.
I was away from church for a long time in my life. For several Sundays when I came back, I found myself weeping as almost a newcomer to this place where people were gathered to try to be good. People were there to try to support each other in being good. And just that simple fact was incredibly moving. Still is.
I truly believe religion at its core is that inner peace one feels, to have true serenity, to be satisfied with what life gives you, yet at the same time willing to stand up for the injustices that one sees. When you have that inner peace, you're willing to extend that out to the circles that are around you and have this beautiful ripple effect.
What the Parliament tries to do is to convene us so that we can learn that about one another and discover in that learning the possibilities for building a new world, a different world, a better world.
The power to convene is the power, I think, to sit together, the power to know each other, the power in which issues become people and then it becomes a whole lot more complicated.
You think your way of being in the world is the way to be in the world, and that person lets you know, oh no, it isn't, I have a way too. And it's kind of like that when you get the different religions in the room, that you are enriched by that difference and you're challenged by that difference, and I think both are good.
When you have religions that have had historically been at war with each other for centuries, and yet leaders and members, practitioners of those religions can put aside their differences and find the common ground and can actually not just sit at the same table, but actually get off the table and work together for the benefit of the world.
To bring the humanity together, to bring harmony, to bring compassion.
To spread that notion that we are all citizens of one earthly home.
And that is the only concept, the only reality that's big enough to guide human living, is a sense of interrelationship.
Our next guest is Reverend Stephen Avino, who is the Executive Director of the Parliament of World's Religions, a non-governmental organization that cultivates harmony among the world's religious and spiritual communities and fosters their engagement with the world and its guiding institutions to create a more just, peaceful, and sustainable world. He has been associated with the Parliament for a long time. He's been staff since 2012, and he was a key figure in the convening in Salt Lake City in 2015, in Toronto in 2018, and most recently on the virtual summit. He has studied at Chicago Theological Seminary, and we're glad to have you on Peace Sundays. Welcome, Stephen.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
For those who don't know, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got involved in the interfaith movement?
Sure. I was raised in the Chicago area, Irish Catholic, Italian Catholic, actually both. And I, always was a person of faith. And I actually majored in religious studies in college, in North Central College in Naperville. And then, as you said, I went to Chicago Theological Seminary for my graduate school. In between college and going to graduate school, I found a job at the Parliament of the World's Religions. And this is be 10 years now that I've worked at the Parliament and worked under some amazing people who, I am so honored to be able to follow and be friends with and colleagues with. And in last fall, we had our virtual convening, and I was named the executive director. So I'm very excited to lead the Parliament forward and go into next year, which is we're going to have a Parliament convening in Chicago in 2023, in August 14th to 18th. And I hope everyone watching this can come.
For those who don't know about the Parliament, can you tell us about the history of this oldest interfaith organization and how we've arrived at this point?
Sure. So the Parliament actually dates back to 1893, when the first Parliament of the World's Religions, actually it's called the World's Parliament of Religions, was held during the World's Columbian Exposition, which was a World's Fair held in Chicago at that time. And it's considered to be the first sort of interfaith council or interfaith meeting, a meeting between the East and the West. And famously, people like Swami Vivekananda spoke there. And 100 years later, in 1993, a centennial parliament was held to honor that and celebrate the anniversary of the 1893 Parliament. Our organization dates back to 1988 when people from the Vivekananda Vedanta Society and others came together, and other people of faith in the Chicago area came together to decide to do the 1993 Parliament. And since 1993, we've had Parliament convenings in Cape Town, South Africa in 1999, Barcelona in 2004, Melbourne in 2009, Salt Lake City in 2015, which I was lucky to work on and very proud to have worked on, and Toronto in 2018. And then for the first time ever, we had our virtual convening, like I said, in the fall. In between parliaments, we also do a lot of work. Like you said, our mission statement is to foster the world's religions, engagement between the world's religions to bring about a world of peace, justice, and sustainability. We have program areas in all three of those areas. Specifically, sustainability in the last few years has become really important with climate change, and our Climate Action Task Force is doing a lot of great work.
And this is important because it's not just people getting together and singing Kumbaya, this stereotypical image, but it really is people who have differences, who are able to dialogue across those differences and have relationships where they're able to cooperate on issues that affect everybody. So the environmental movement is a place where there has been impact, but there are other action areas, aren't there?
Yes, we also have the next generation focusing on young people, and we have our Indigenous working group about Indigenous people. We have a women's task force. In 2015, we actually had our first inaugural Women's Assembly before Salt Lake officially opened up the Salt Lake Parliament. And we also have a Peace and Justice Task Force as well, doing good work. So we're always working on our mission, even in between the convenings. And during the convenings, there's tracks around each of these issues. It's not, like you said, it's not just Kumbaya. We're bringing people together to work on making a better place. It's not just getting together and saying we love each other, but also working together to make a better world.
With the Parliament convening again in Chicago in 2023, what is your vision for world interfaith harmony in the future, and how is the Parliament playing a role in that?
Well, like you said, we're the conveners, so we play the role of bringing both lay people and religious leaders and grassroots organizers from all over the world. There's over 10,000 people came to Salt Lake City, over 8,000 came to Toronto, and we really, it's really, I would consider it like the Comic-Con of interfaith. I mean, anything imaginable can be found there, from meditation to workshops on specific action that can be taken, and everything in between. Religious rituals. I mean, you've gone, correct, Patrick? Right? It's just incredible amount of programming that goes on at a parliament, and from that springs both harmony and action between the different faiths.
Yes, I first got involved in the interfaith movement in 2009 in Southern California with the Southern California Committee for the Parliament of World's Religions and the Unity and Diversity World Council when local events were being held. And although I was not able to go to Melbourne, I had my experience of the Parliament because of the local events. And the beautiful thing about the 2015 and 2018 was all of the events that were aligned to the Parliament, that were leading up to it, that were held all over the world. And when I did go to Salt Lake City, which was incredible. I will never forget being inside the Mormon Tabernacle and having an interfaith concert, and a statue of Ganesh, the elephant-headed Hindu deity, being carted out onto stage while people were dancing all around it, and everyone loved it. They loved it so much that they had a similar concert again. I never thought I would see Ganesh dancing on the stage of the Mormon Tabernacle.
Yeah.
Toronto, I was in Toronto, and that was a very inspiring experience. So I'm really looking forward to coming home, sweet home, Chicago in 2023. What can people expect when in the events in Chicago and around in the lead up to it?
Sure. So, like you said, the idea behind going to Chicago now is it's the 30th anniversary of the first modern parliament in 1993, which was held in Chicago, and 130 years since 1893. So it is a coming home for the interfaith movement. And so we see that right now is the perfect time. There's just so much going on with climate change, with our democracies around the world. There's so much to work on. And just like in 93, I think the slogan was no better time than now to come back together again. I think 2023 will be the exact same thing. We need to get back together, work on these issues. In terms of the actual events, it's all still in planning phases, but it will be held at McCormick Place, which is the largest convention center in North America, at the Lakeside Center. So we'll be on the lake, beautiful Lake Michigan, during the summer, and we will actually have outdoor components to it on the lake. We're hoping to have another langar where the Sikh community beautifully feeds everyone at the convening for lunch. We're hoping to have thousands of programming, speakers, but also we want to get into the city as well. The city of Chicago, is the birthplace of the interfaith movement, and we want to celebrate that and work on any issues around the city that we need to work on, and really become a light to the world at this point in history. Because if you're watching the news, I think things aren't exactly going in the right direction in some ways. So we're hoping to fix that.
I'm looking forward to being there and seeing you there, and I encourage everybody else to find out more at parliamentofreligions.org.
Yes, and please join our newsletter, and you'll find out more information as we announce the different elements of the Chicago Parliament next year.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us today on Peace Sundays, Stephen. May peace prevail on earth.
Thank you, Patrick.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Patrick, for those powerful interviews by our two guest speakers. URI Reverend Swing is just someone that I have really admired through the years. So to see this beautiful up close and personal interview of his journey into creating URI from the grassroots level is just so powerful. And he's such a sincere and humble man. I just love him. So Reverend Swing has identified the two biggest threats to the world currently as the environmental threat and the nuclear threat. One is over a period of time, and one is instantaneous. I love the work of Peace Sunday because that's the whole reason why we came together, is protecting the environment, protecting all creation, all life, and putting a stop to the nuclear disaster that could be coming. And it's all building up. So this is a time more than ever that we really need to join forces to stop all this talk of war and more wars and the nuclear threats. I love and appreciate the nuclear prayer and the work of the Cooperation Circle, Voices for a World Free of Nuclear Weapons. They are definitely one of our collaborative partners for Peace Sunday's 40th anniversary. We've also had the pleasure of interviewing Monica Willard, URI's representative to the United Nations, focusing on denuclearization. So we look forward to having her back again. I'm also grateful for the interview that you've done with the Parliament of World Religions' new young executive director, Reverend Avino. I've been blessed to participate in the Parliament of the World's gatherings in 2009 in Melbourne, Australia, then again in 2015 in Salt Lake City, Utah, and online last year, 2021. It was the first online gathering due to the pandemic. And I'm really looking forward and excited to the global convening by the Parliament on August 14th through the 18th of 2023 at the McCormick Lakeside Center in Chicago. It will be the 130th anniversary from the very first gathering in 1893 in Chicago. So 2 powerful interviews. Thank you so much, Patrick. You did a wonderful job. And at this time, we want to include some reflections from our Indigenous elders and yourself as well as we come to the closing of our program. So, Daniel, you want to start us off, or do you want Alda?
I can go. I'll start. I also want to thank Patrick for those interviews. It was so inspirational, as always, as Peace Sunday is. It's really a grassroots movement. It's really about people living their purpose. That's how this is started. In Laura's story and in Reverend's story, it's people doing what they feel God calls them to do. We can be on the brink of extinction, but this is what brings us back. We know that we were put here to be stewards of this planet. We know Creator wants us to take care. We were given this creation. We were given this beautiful place to be a part of, and we're meant to be caretakers. And that's what's happening now. You can see all of these organizations just following their own beliefs and understanding that that means that we have to join together. We have to do this together. We need to denuclearize the planet. It doesn't serve anyone. It's only about destruction. It's only about fear. But we can grow that into love. It's already taken root. We've already connected. The network exists. It's only becoming more powerful with love and truth and understanding that we are in this together. The fate of one of us is the fate of all of us. Hey.
Yes, yes. My goodness, this is not just another program about peace, joy, and bringing forward and the justice of things that are necessary. This falls in line with many other organizations in our local to global way that is fulfilling today the prophetic messages of our grandfathers and our grandmothers and generations ago here on Turtle Island. Almost 500 years. In our culture, these 2 beautiful men, Bishop Swing and Reverend Bernardino, you would be, in our culture, you would be the pathfinders. You would be those who would be looking and making a path for those to follow, to bring together all peoples to walk in a good way, to walk in a one way, to walk together, joined as one nation of people, joined as one community, one village. This is what has been going on in the White Buffalo prophecies that continue to be fulfilled, for we are those living prophecies today, spoken from our many Indigenous elders. This is the time, not for talking about reconciliation, but for talking about peace and conciliation. Look up the difference between. There has to be a memory of peace between 2 peoples. And we did not have that opportunity. So let's get to the truth. Let's get to the power of truth. And these 2 beautiful people bring forward all the leaders, all the grassroots peoples whose hearts are strong, who come together from the 4 directions. This is the Rainbow Warrior movement that is occurring. The White Buffalo have come forward. The sacred hoop of 100 eagle feathers in 1994 that was given to a vision of Mohican. Uncle Don Coes was brought forward to bring all the nations together upon Turtle Island. And the 4 gifts of that sacred hoop are healing, hope, unity, and the power to forgive the unforgivable. It's time to continue to move the sacred hoop of 100 feathers and many hoops now that need to be moved across the world in our global way to pray, to hope, to heal, to forgive the unforgivable and unite together to bring forward the peace that we all know lies here, and to bring that fire into the outwardness of our world with love and harmony and balance. These good things all come together as we, as all peoples, come together to be the oneness. Aho, Matakiasin. Aho.
Oh, thank you, elders, our wise ones. Thank you so much. Patrick?
Very powerful words. Thank you, Laura Saab, for sharing your story. Very inspiring. And thank you to Bishop Swing and Reverend Stephen Avino for your interviews and taking time out of your busy schedules to share your stories and to help people understand where this movement came from and where we're going together. I'm really excited about the Peace Sunday 40th anniversary, and I hope that all of you can join us locally and on the live streams to celebrate so we can bring this more beautiful world that we all know is possible into reality.
Yes, indeed. And so we are gathered together to honor world peace and harmony. And I know we can do it. You know, we all collaboratively can make a huge impact. You know, like Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you wish to see in the world. And so that is why we're here. We share one dream, one vision, one heart for the greater good of all and future generations. And so at this time, we're going to go ahead and have our call to action with Congresswoman Maxine Waters, and I will put forth the call to action. So thank you for being with us again. We're dedicating this broadcast to my beloved husband, Mike Foimai Tesamali. It's the 4-year anniversary of his passing in 2018. And also to Reverend Leland Stewart, the founder and president of Unity and Diversity World Council. He passed away about a month and a half after my husband in 2018. And then also we want to honor 2 of my board members, former board members, the co-chair of the Southern California Parliament, Joseph Prabhu, as well as our beloved dear Swami Shiva, Douglas Blue. All these amazing souls who have contributed so much towards this work that we're all doing together. And so I say aloha, aloha, thank you very much. And now this is our call to action.
To create a peaceful, equitable, and sustainable future for all could not come at a more crucial moment. This is critical. Let us carry the dream as we care for the sick in our families and communities. Let us carry the dream as we work for racial and economic justice. Let us carry the dream as we confront the climate crisis and work for a clean environment and a sustainable future for our children and our children's children. Let us carry the dream as we vote. Let us make every day a Peace Sunday and a day to work for a better world for all humanity. Thank you so very much.
In honor of the 40th anniversary of Peace Sunday 1982, organizations are invited to join us as Global Alliance partners to celebrate and continue the legacy and work of Peace Sunday. Our June 2022 theme will be The Power of One. We are hereby putting forth a call to action for all of us to make every day Peace Sunday. We are encouraging our global family to hold peace-building events in your local areas and or online, empowering us to collectively create a more peaceful, equitable, and sustainable world with a much brighter future for all. We will be producing a broadcast series called Sacred Activism Peace Sundays. These broadcasts will address the most critical issues of our time and also highlights registered peace events happening worldwide. And the main areas of focus are spiritualization, denuclearization, decolonization, honoring and protecting the sacred, and environmental stewardship. For more information and to register your peace events, please visit us at peacesundays.org. We are honored to have our elders close us out with a prayer blessing for the world. And so thank you very much again for being with us. Aho, aloha, alofa.
O Great Spirit, one of many names, we come together in the circle of life around a square screen. But the circle of life knows no bounds, knows no form. There's the formless within. We come to you with one heart, one breath. We are the one breath family from all 4 directions, all 7 directions. Come together in peace. We come together in our joy, our love, our commitment, our conviction to walk this world into a new world, to hold hands, to embrace one another, to heal one another from each other. With the power of the unseen to the seen world, we shall bring spring forward, the new springtime that's been prophesied in many ways, for long and many days. And in this time, we are gathered together to bring forward all the children, not only present, but those still coming, all the elders who are still here, and for those who have left us, and for all families in between. We come in this good way with peace. Let us not only listen to the nuclear prayer that the United Nations speaks once a month in their meetings. Let the world speak this prayer on that day. So the global prayer of all peoples, from the grassroots, from the oceans to the mountains, sing with a prayer that calls for peace, that calls for denuclearization, not only in the sense of nuclear, but also in the sense of the spirit that we call forward to bring peace again, to bring peace upon Mother Earth, upon Father Sky, upon the sacred waters and the holy fire. Let this nuclear prayer and all prayers, as they are heard and dropped from the sky again upon all places, help us and support us in this good work, in this long work, but the work together shall never cease as long as we continue to carry the fire of hope. And let that be what unites us. Let us not be afraid to forgive the unforgivable and heal. In all these blessings, we give you thanks that we all are together in the one family, children of great Creator. Aho, mutakias. Aho.
Thank you, Global Family, for joining us today. Come often. And I want to just say, may unity and peace prevail on earth.
May unity and peace prevail on earth.
May unity and peace prevail on earth.
Prevail on earth.